So without changing anything, bring your awareness very specifically to the movement of the belly. And if you have a hard time really noticing what your abdominal wall is doing, it can be helpful to put your hands on your stomach, kind of just below your belly button. We're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through your mouth. And as you exhale through your mouth, feel your abdominal wall drop back away from your hands towards your spine. At the end of the exhalation, you pause. You're going to inhale again through the nose, belly expands. As you exhale through the lips, navel draws back to your spine. At the end of the exhalation, you pause and hold. And then same again. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the lips. Navel draws back in. At the end of the exhalation, you pause. Reverse abdominal contractions. Just going to continue to breathe like this for about a minute longer. Once you really get a hang of the movement of the belly, you can let go of the mouth breathing. So just inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Being very aware of the movement of the abdominal wall. If this particular breathing exercise makes you feel lightheaded, or nauseous, or anxious, maybe don't do it. Just let the breathing practice go. So after your next exhalation, just completely let go of the reverse abdominal contractions. You might just let your arms relax again out to the side. And you want to notice if the breathing exercise changed anything. Did it change sensation in the hips, the abdominal wall, the low back, just anywhere? You might notice there's a difference. Now, I'm going to get you to find your blocks. So get your 3 blocks or a pillow or a yoga brick on its middle side. I'm going to set that between your knees. Make sure when you put the block between your knees, your feet stay knee width apart. Your arms are a little bit away from the body. There'll be a little activation in the inner leg to hold the blocks, but we're going to try and relax the belly and relax the hip flexors. And then all together, we're going to squeeze the blocks, relax. Squeeze the blocks, relax. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now leave the blocks there. I want you to have that little bit of steady, even pressure. You're going to bring your arms in front of you and clasp your hands, palms touching. And then we're going to keep the palms touching, keep your elbows straight. Reach your knuckles to the wall to the left, and then reach your knuckles to the wall to the right. And the movement of the hands is going to move your upper back from side to side. The blocks are helping to keep your pelvis still. Your face can follow your hands. You're going to look where your hands are going. Couple more. Think about walking your rib cage up away from your pelvis. Now you won't actually move, but the back will start to get a little longer. You're gonna come through the center. And then now pull the arms back overhead. So the thumb side of the hands coming to the floor and forward. I'm gonna do 10 of these. 2. Keep your ribs down. 3. Still a little pressure on the block. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Take the blocks out, set them aside, let your arms relax for a moment. Just notice if you're a little flatter than you were before. Then maybe to move your arms out shoulder height. So your arms are straight out from your shoulders, palms face up. Stretch your fingers out so you can get all your fingernails on the floor. Notice if stretching the hands out changes sensation somewhere farther up the arm. And then you're just gonna flip so the palms face down. So you're gonna go palms face up, palms face down. And it's sort of easiest to do this at the wrist, but you wanna think about the movement coming from the shoulder. Belly's relaxed. Notice if you have the ability to fully extend the fingers. Can you get the whole hand flat? Maybe yes, maybe no. Does the right and the left arm feel the same? Couple more. Now, turn your palms to face up, bend your elbows to 90, and then bring your elbows right by your side, like little robot arms. So we're gonna do the first set without any weight. You're gonna see if you can bring, and very likely your forearms won't get to the floor. You're just gonna try and bring your forearms to the floor and back up. So you're pressing out and up. Try and keep your ribs down. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bring your forearms up, move your elbows up in line with your shoulders. And now you're rotating your forearms back to the floor, to goalpost, and then up and down into scarecrow. Remember to keep your brain in your shoulders and keep your shoulders on the floor. And the top of the arm bone on the floor as well. Jaw is relaxed. The tongue is soft. Belly's relaxed. It's interesting to notice if your hips get really tense here. Can you kind of leave your hips out of it? Forearms are going to come through the middle. You're going to let your arms relax. Just pause for a moment. We're going to go back to the beginning. So you're going to take your blocks, set them between your knees. Again, watch that your heels stay as wide as your knees. Belly soft, hip flexors relaxed, arms a little bit away from the body. You're going to squeeze the blocks, relax. Squeeze the blocks, relax. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, keep holding the blocks. Find your weights. So you find your can of soup or your little hand weights. Again, 2 or 3 pounds in each hand. Hands are close together. So we're gonna go back to the lateral pullover. So you're pulling from left to right. But the added weight is gonna change how this feels in our shoulders, our rib cage, and maybe around the waist. Face follows your hands. So you're looking left to right. Notice if Depending on which way you're going, if your waist grips more on one side than the other, or if your hip flexors grip more on one side or the other. It's kind of observing what's going on. Make sure you're breathing in and out through the nose. Come through the middle, pause, let your belly relax. Your arms are kind of right out in front of you, shouldn't feel like too much work. And then you're bringing the weights back to the floor above your head and forward. And again, we will likely notice that the hips have to work a little bit more, maybe the belly has to work a little bit more, shoulder definitely has to work a little bit more. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now bring your elbows down beside you, and you can set your blocks aside. If your hips are kind of tired of that, you can leave them there if your hips don't mind. So you got 90-degree elbow. You're going to bring the forearms out towards the floor and up. And we might notice the shoulder blades move a little bit more behind you. Kind of squeeze together and then relax wide. But do try and keep your ribs down. So the ribs are not popping up. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now move your elbows up, shoulder height. A little rainbow in the air from goalpost to scarecrow with control. Keeping the whole upper arm on the floor, whole back on the floor. Moving slowly with control. We're going to add one more upper arm movement here. So you're going to bring your arms in front of you. So your elbows are directly above your shoulders. You're going to see about, like, imagine touching the weight to your shoulder and then stretching your arms out straight. So you're bending at the elbow and then totally straightening the arms. So we should feel this in the back of the arm or in the tricep. Again, notice if your hips are really grippy, maybe you need them to be. If you can relax your hips a little bit, you might. We're doing roughly 10. Sometimes I kind of lose count. If you get tired, do less. If you find, and it's interesting, and I mean, we won't do these every week, but if you found whatever weight you have very, very easy, you could always add weight. One more here. Set your weights down. Relax for a moment. Take a breath. Adjust as you need to. Notice if your static back feels different. Notice the circulation in your hands. You let your belly soften. We're going to repeat that just one more time. So you're taking your blocks, setting them between your knees. Arms are a little bit away from the body, palms down, space up. Squeeze the blocks, relax. Squeeze, relax. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You can leave the blocks there. Grab your hand weights. Lay them in front of you close together. Sort of the little lateral pullover. And do 10 from right to left. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Come through the middle. Now the arms are going overhead, so coming back to the floor and forward. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can leave your blocks there. You can set your blocks aside. You're going to put your elbows down right beside your torso. Forearms are going out to the side. Maybe shoulder blades draw together. And then the forearms come up. Shoulder blades go wide. 2, 3. Watch your wrist. 4, don't break your wrist. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now move your elbows up, shoulder height. That little rainbow from goalpost down to scarecrow with control. So your arms are not flopping. Shoulders stay on the floor. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Forearms come through the middle. You bring your elbows up over your shoulders. Try and bring your weights to your shoulder and then straighten. Little tricep. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Set your weights down. Set your blocks aside. Just for a moment, relax in static back. Again, hopefully we notice the back is really flat. Maybe the hips are a little bit more relaxed than they were when you started. Just noticing. I get you to take your legs up off your block or your chair or whatever it is you got. Set it aside. Just for a moment, lie flat. So stretch your legs out, lie flat. If lying flat doesn't feel great, feel free to put something under your head. Certainly you don't have to, but you might. Biggest difference between static back and lying flat, obviously, is we want to have a little arch in our back. If the arch in your back feels uncomfortable or too high, the first thing you want to do is prop your head, see if that makes things better. Now observe how the hips and the low back feel. I'm going to get you to bend your knees, place your foot soles on the floor. Move your feet about as wide as your mat. If you're not using a mat, your feet are slightly wider than your hips. And you're just going to drop your knees towards one another. So they both go in, and then they're both going to go out. So you roll to the big toe side of the foot, and then to the pinky toe side of the foot. Notice if moving the legs really changes the shape of the low back. So when you move your legs, does your pelvis move automatically? Can you a little bit leave the pelvis out of it and just move at the hip? Does your right and left hip feel the same? Does this movement that is, essentially supposed to be out about the hip, do you feel it in your knee? You might. There's nothing good or bad about that. Now, as you come through center, instead of both knees going in opposite directions, both knees are gonna go left, both knees are gonna go right. Just a little windshield wiper. Rolling across the feet. The movement of the legs is gonna move your pelvis for sure, but try and leave your ribs relatively still. So you're not arching your back and you're not rolling the rib cage from side to side. Legs are gonna come through center. Walk your feet back parallel and pelvis width apart. I'm gonna get you to stretch your left leg out. So straight left leg, a little bit of flex in your foot. Bring your right leg in towards your chest. Hold on to your right thigh. So not the top of the shin, hold on to the thigh. Shoulder blades stay together. Shoulders stay away from your ears. Your shin is parallel to the floor. You're gonna do 40 outward circles with your right foot. You wanna notice if moving at the ankle moves your whole leg. So your shin shouldn't really be bopping up and down. Your knee shouldn't be going from side to side. Everything should be relatively still except for the foot. So it's 40 outward, 40 inward, and 20 points and flexes. It will absolutely get tiring. If 40, 40, 20 is too many, do less. When you get to the points and flexes, really try and use your toes. Of course, when you are done your right leg, pause in between sides just for a moment, lie flat. Notice if lying flat feels different. Observe the circulation in your hips, and then switch sides. Bring your left knee in. Might feel absolutely different on one side compared to the other. Same thing, 40 outward. Maybe one ankle is noisier than the other. 40 inward, 20 points and flexes. It's also interesting to notice how this feels at the hip. It's also really interesting to notice if one of your feet feels significantly smarter than the other one. So when you've done 40, 40, 20 on this left side, you're just gonna stretch your legs out and lie flat. Again, when you lie flat, when you get finished, just notice if lying flat feels different. Do your hips feel different? Do your legs feel heavier? Is the arch in your back maybe a little less deep or a little less tense? Might be, might not be. Let's take a breath. I'm gonna get you to bend your knees. Legs are gonna be parallel and pelvis width apart. Turn, and your arms are about shoulder height. Turn the palms of your hands to face down. Take your left ankle on your right thigh. Press that left knee away a little bit using your hip. Roll over the pinky toe side of your right foot. Bringing your right thigh to the floor and eventually your left foot sole. Your left arm is reaching away, your left shoulder is staying grounded. Your face is going to turn to look away from your legs. Just going to hang out here for about a minute. You're going to notice that your breath changed. As we twist, we change the pressure in the torso. The breathing is going to shift or change, and you're just going to let it. Quietly breathing through the nose. Take one more breath here. Roll your pelvis back up. Uncross your legs. Turn the palms of the hands to face up for a moment. Bring your feet together. Let your knees go wide. So you're going to come into reclining bound angle. Take a little break here. Let your legs get heavy. Bring your knees back up. Again, parallel pelvis width apart. Turn the palms of your hands to face down. Take your right ankle on your left thigh. Move your right knee away from you a little bit. Watch that your pelvis didn't twist and the length of your waist didn't shift. And then you're going to roll over the pinky toe side of that left foot. So you can get your left thigh to the floor, so you can get your right foot sole to the floor. Do think about turning your face to look away from your legs. We're hanging out here for about a minute. Just breathing. Take one more breath here. Roll your pelvis back up. Turn the palms of your hands to face up. Let your shoulders relax. Uncross your legs. Same again. Feet go together. Knees go wide. You come into reclining bound angle. Let your legs get heavy. Here about half of a minute. Bring your knees together. If you got something under your head, take it out. Just for a moment, bring your knees as close to your chest as they can comfortably be, and just rock a little bit from side to side. So just rocking out your low back. You can hold your knees or not. Your knees can be wide, your knees can be narrow, kind of whatever works better for your hips. Do allow your back to flatten. Then I'm gonna get you to come through the middle and just see if you can pick your head up off the floor. So make yourself just a little bit smaller, as long as that feels okay for your neck. And then try not to use your hands. Your hands are you're just gonna tuck them in close to you. And you're gonna see if you can roll all the way onto one side and then back, all the way onto the other. So it's like you're rolling like a little ball from side to side, which absolutely, you might feel a little dizzy, you might feel a little lightheaded. If that is the case, you might stop. And rolling can be really helpful for developing a tolerance for that kind of movement, as well as it's going to be good for our balance, our core strength. Next time you roll onto your left side, put your right hand down on the floor right in front of your face, or somewhere where it makes sense for you. You're going to push the floor away, come up onto your left hip, And then you're gonna pull yourself back down and roll to the other side. Then you put your left hand down, push yourself up, you go the other way. Just a little side to side. It's like a little one-arm push-up. It's going to be helpful, giving us the ability to get up off the floor, get in and out of bed. Just a little side to side, couple more. And if you get dizzy, stop. Next time you roll to your left side, you're going to push yourself up all the way into tabletop. So in tabletop, knees below hips, wrists below shoulders, so maybe your wrists are a little wider than your knees. Place your hands where your wrists are most comfortable, so they might be turned out a little bit, doesn't matter. And then you're just gonna think about your elbow pits. So you're gonna turn your elbow pits to face one another, turn your elbow pits to face the front. So we're gonna go back to our shoulders for a moment, a little internal rotation, a little external rotation. Notice if this feels the same right and left side. Breathe. Turn your elbow pits to face forward. And then you're going to, so you got your elbow pits kind of facing forward. You're gonna let your elbows bend and lean forward as though you could put your nose on the floor. It's probably not gonna be very big. It's a little tricep push-up. So if it feels easy, you're doing one of two things. You're either bulldogging, which is that, elbows going wide, which we don't want. We want our elbows going straight back. Or you're using your hips. So you don't want to be using your hips to move. We're leaning forward. We should feel this in the upper arm, back of the upper arm. And it is not easy. Tiny tricep push-up. One more. Pick yourself up. You're going to come into a high kneel. Just to give the wrists a break, you can shake out your hands a little bit. Then bring them back so your hands to touch. So you can get your thumbs to touch. So you can get all your fingers to touch. And you're just gonna pull down a little bit. Little break for the wrist. Think about pressing, while we're hanging out here doing this little wrist stretch, think about pressing down through the tops of the feet, pressing down through your shins, and using your bum to push your hips forward. So we're practicing a little hip extension while we're at it. Now you're gonna make fists. You're gonna bring your fists to the floor, kind of close to your knees, and you're gonna walk around a little bit. So the closer your hands are to your knees, kind of the less you weigh, a little bit easier it is for your hands maybe. The farther away you walk, a little harder. So you kind of choose your own adventure. Just walking around a little bit. You're gonna come back through center, and then any way that works for you, bring yourself down onto your belly. You're gonna come onto your belly, big toes touch, heels wide. Hands come around, forehead rests on your hands. Let your pelvis settle. Notice, how does this feel? How does it feel in my hips, my low back, my mid back? Does it feel like my pelvis is settling level right and left side? And then super gentle here, point your toes straight back. Just give your left knee a little bend. And then you're gonna windshield wiper. So that lower left leg, just a little side to side. Into our hip flexors a little bit. Quads. This can be a nice little movement for the knee. I'm gonna lower that leg down. Take a breath. Easily bend your other knee. Same again. Little windshield wiper, little side to side. And then you're gonna lower that down. Now, toes are pointing straight back about hip distance apart. Hands are gonna reach straight forward about shoulder distance apart. Face is downward facing. Think about tucking your bottom rib up and in. Trying to set your sternum down flat. Now, you're gonna reach and not lift. So imagine if there was a little block right in front of your fingertips, a little block right behind your toes. You're gonna reach your left hand and your right leg away from one another and hold, 2, and then relax. And it's right arm, left leg. Reaching, 1, 2, relax. Left arm, right leg, hold, relax. Right arm, left leg. Relax. Left arm, right leg. Relax. Right arm, left leg. Really reach. Relax. Left arm, right leg. Relax. Right arm, left leg. Breathe. Relax. Left arm, right leg. Relax. Right arm, left leg. Relax. Hands come around, forehead rests on the hands, toes come together, heels drop out. You can just pause for a moment, let your pelvis settle. Take a breath. Then I'm gonna get you to roll onto your right side. You're gonna need to have a hand weight nearby. You don't need it immediately, but you will eventually. So have your hand weight nearby. And if your head, like if you're laying on your side and your head is dangling uncomfortably, you can always put something under your head. So kind of decide for yourself. You're gonna take your bottom hand, which I think is your right hand, you're gonna hold your left knee. And then first time around, you're just gonna reach your left arm forward. You're gonna look at that left thumb. You're gonna follow it up and back behind you, as far as it will go. I'm gonna hang out here for half of a minute. And just like the previous twist, as we twist our torso, the breath is gonna change. You're letting it change. Maybe thinking about a little longer exhalation. Do relax your jaw, do soften your tongue. Or go ahead and be as tense as you want to be. Take one more breath here. Bring that back arm forward. Now, you're gonna grab your hand weight in the top hand. And you're gonna pick the weight up straight above you. So you have wrist, elbow, shoulder stacked. Knees are stacked, hips are stacked. You're gonna move your rib cage back. As you move your rib cage back, as you move your shoulder back, your arm is gonna move behind you, and that weight is gonna make the twist feel different. It's gonna load the waist in a little different way. I want you to watch that you're not flopping. So you're not just letting the arm dangle behind you. There's a little strength in the shoulder. Like if you were to feel your armpit, there'd be a little hole in your armpit because your chest muscle, your pectoralis, is working. And then if that is comfortable, you maybe draw like a little snow angel or windmill movement with that arm. But the arm only moves such that it is comfortable and not too noisy. You're not snapping all over the place. And it is a pain-free range of motion. And you don't ever have to add movement. And you don't ever have to be completely still. Whatever feels good right now. Could you just like draw a circle with that arm? Biggest circle you can find in your spinal twist, but again, be mindful. Maybe the circle goes the other way. Just using the shoulder in a unique way. Particularly if you're a person with shoulder pain, notice if adding weight makes it feel better or worse. Sometimes adding weight will actually make us feel better. Okay, bring that arm forward, let go of your weight, just rest on your side. Notice how that twist feels different. And then make your way onto your left side. So whatever that looks like, rolling over, flipping over. Again, feel free to prop your head or don't. We're looking for a 90-degree hip and a 90-degree knee. Left hand's holding right knee. Right arm's in front of you. So first variation, no weight. You can bring that arm up and back behind you. Observe how the twist is different in the hip, the waist, the back, the shoulder, wherever you're feeling it. Maybe a little different on this side. And observe how the breath changes. Do relax your jaw. Do soften your tongue. Take one more breath. Bring that back arm forward. Again, you're going to find your weight. It's in that top arm. Keep your knees stacked, your hips stacked. Lift the right arm up. Starts directly above the shoulder. Move from your rib cage. Arm comes back behind you, but only so far that you're not flopping. There's a little tension. There's a little strength in the shoulder and in the chest. And you feel moderately comfortable here. We might add a little windmill, little snow angel, whatever you want to call it. Just a little straight along the same plane as the floor. But watch that the shoulder doesn't feel snappy, like as though the muscles are sort of grinding against the bones. Don't move in that way. And then again, we might circle. So you might create a whole big circular range of motion. And then go the other way. Observe if one arm feels stronger, feels easier on one side. And that arm is going to come around in front of you. You're going to set your weight down. You're going to pause. Notice how, again, letting go of that particular twist feels. And then you're going to roll yourself back up into tabletop. So we're going to come up into tabletop. Wrists below shoulders. Knees below hips. You might be a little pickier about your hand placement now. So maybe middle finger points forward, maybe thumbs point at one another. But again, if that doesn't really feel great in your wrists, do whatever feels better. Now we're going to do a little bit of cats and dogs. So you're going to tuck your tail, push the floor away, look back at your knees, little cat back. Lift your tail, dump your pelvis forward, drop your ribs, draw your shoulder blades together, look up, dog back. Keep moving in that way. So you breathe out, cat back, you breathe in, dog back. Mobilizing the spine. Noticing how does this feel not only in the muscles around my spine and in my back, but how does it feel in my hips? Something else to observe while you're moving is, can I keep my feet on the floor? Can I keep my shins on the floor? I just lost Greta and Karen. Where are you guys going? Breathe out, finish your cat back. Breathe in, come halfway in between. So you're neutral. Top of the pelvis, pubic bone parallel to the floor, sternum parallel to the floor. I want you to think about your shoulders and your upper back. See if you can bring your shoulder blades together and then let your shoulder blades go wide. Little scapular push-up, shoulder blades together, shoulder blades wide. Sternum goes straight down parallel to the floor.
Come straight back up. The ribs are not flaring. Now bring your shoulder blades together behind you so you're in that sort of lower position, and then go back to your elbow pits. Elbow pits face one another, elbow pits face the front. Internal rotation, external rotation, internal rotation, external rotation. And notice how it is different here with your shoulder blades together than it was with your shoulder blades wide. Now neutral elbow pits. Again, you're going to bring yourself down onto your stomach. I want you, as you settle yourself down onto your stomach, make sure you have 2 blocks nearby. So you got one on either side of you. Coming down onto your belly. Big toes touch heels wide. Hands come around, forehead rests on your hands. And you're just settling on your pelvis. So this whole week I've been kind of focused on shoulders. Really important if you have shoulder pain and honestly neck pain, sometimes it's actually that your back muscles aren't pulling their weight. So we're going to work here a little bit on the upper back. So you're going to bring your hands and put them under your blocks. Like you're holding little pizza boxes. The blocks don't weigh too much. If it feels too heavy, just do this without the blocks. You can leave your forehead on the floor, or you can pick your head up, kind of whatever would feel better for you right now. And you're simply going to push those blocks up as high as they will go, squeezing your shoulder blades together, and then lowering them down, letting your shoulder blades go wide. So you're lifting and squeezing, you pause at the top, and you lower down. Lifting and squeezing, and then lower down. 3 more. Make sure you're breathing. This last one, hold up there. Really, really, really squeeze. For just 5 seconds. 4, 5. Lower down. Hands come around, forehead rests on your hands. Tuck your bottom rib up and in. Breathe your belly into the floor. Notice how your back feels, upper back, your shoulders. Now, something little bit different. In using the back, you're going to slide your hands underneath your blocks. You're going to pick, if you can, you pick your head and shoulders up a little bit. You're going to push your hands up, not as high as they could be, but maybe slightly higher than your hips if you can. Use your upper back. Arms are going to go wide like a T, and then come back together. Go wide and together. Breathe. Two more. And then in this last one, try, just imagine squeezing, like getting your blocks to touch behind you, and they probably won't. 4, 5, lower down. Hands come around, forehead rests on your hands. Take a breath. Just observe.